Welcome to the second installment of Duck Punch Weekly Comic Reviews. I'm your host, Travis Collins, aka Duck Punch, and I've got 6 books we're going to start with today. Secret Avengers number 3, Justice League of America number 47, Uncanny X-Men number 526, Green Lantern number 56, Thor 612, and Wonder Woman 601. Up first is Secret Avengers number 3, written by Ed Brubaker with art by Mike Deodato Jr. Of the 4 Avengers ongoing titles right now, and there are 4 of them, this is hands down the best. Bar none, end of discussion. This book picks up right off of the end of the last issue, with a little bit more being revealed about the 2 crowns, the Serpent Crown and the Thorn Crown, as well as what the obviously Serpent Crown possessed Nova is trying to do. Steve Rogers and what is left of his team, together with an ancient robotic heavyweight creature called the Archon, try a full frontal assault on Nova, while Ant-Man is sneaking into the base of the mysterious organization that Nick Fury, of all people, seems to be working for. I would never have associated this kind of book with Ed Brubaker. Seems like something Jonathan Hickman or Warren Ellis would be writing, but he pulls it off surprisingly well. Deodato continues to impress with the art, though sometimes the shadowing work makes it kind of hard to tell what's going on, but it's not something that really detracts too much from the story. Overall, this is without a doubt the best Avengers book on the market, and it's the one I most eagerly look forward to every month. If you aren't reading this, you really should be. Up next is Justice League of America number 47 by James Robinson with artwork by Mark Bagley. After a so-so issue of guest writing Justice Society last week, which I reviewed too, Robinson comes back this week much stronger in this issue with a team that he seems much more comfortable writing. The Justice League, picking up from last week's Justice Society issue, together with that team and the All-Stars, have staged an assault on the Starheart's fortress, of all places, of course, on the moon. While Flash and Faust are trying to buy time with the original Green Lantern, Alan Scott, and Dr. Midnight is trying to save Starman. The end of the issue is really where things get really interesting. A new character shows up, and he has his marching orders from Oa, from the Guardians of the Universe, aka the leaders of the Green Lantern Corps. Again, Robinson seems to know much more of what he's doing when he's working primarily with the Justice League, and it shows in the way the story moves along. Nothing seems forced, nothing seems slapped on, or just jammed in, though he does succeed in making Jade kind of annoying in this issue. Bagley is as Bagley does. You either like him or you don't. I do. But there's no surprises here on his artwork. Again, the cliffhanger on the end works really well. Unfortunately, now we have to wait about 2 weeks for the next installment. Next, the final team book of the week, Uncanny X-Men number 526 by Matt Fraction with art by Whilce Portacio, and I'm hoping I pronounced that right. I apologize if I didn't. I have defended this book to people for a long time, but at some point things hit the proverbial wall. Well, guess what, ladies and gents? The wall is here. Hope Summers, fresh off of kicking the holy hell out of Bastion and restarting the mutant gene in 5 mutants at different points on the world, has gone off to Alaska to find her biological family. Meanwhile, Iceman and Angel are keeping tabs on one of the new mutants to show her powers. The 2 teams intersect, and we have some very happy, joy moments. Frankly, after such an amazing crossover as Second Coming was, which I really loved, I really had some high expectations for Uncanny X-Men going forward, but this fell so flat. It hurt. While the art is okay, though not as dynamic as some of the teasers made it out to be, Fraction really drops the ball. The dialogue is canned, and the segue between storylines is abrupt, and with no real discernible reason for them other than to say, meanwhile, between this book really wearing on my nerves, and the increasing decline of Invincible Iron Man, and the ho-humness of the Thor preview from last week, I'm starting to lose faith in Matt Fraction. I'm hoping this book can really kind of pull things out. Green Lantern number 56 is next, written by Jeff Johns with art by Doug Mahnke. there are a lot of Brightest Day tie-ins, but Green Lantern continues to be one of the highlights, and this issue is no exception. The Being, hunting down the 7 entities that power the various Lantern Corps, has released an old GL villain, Hector Hammond. He has massive telepathic powers, to find the creature that powers the Orange Lantern Corps, the Corps that's associated with greed. At the same time, Hal Jordan is trying to reason with Larfleeze, who is the only member of the Orange Lantern, to get him to stop stealing random things from nearby townspeople. A conflict erupts, and then things get really, really interesting. Love him or hate him, and I tend toward the latter, Geoff Johns is a damn good Green Lantern writer. He knows Hal Jordan, and he makes people want to read about him. Mankey is simply beautiful here. The designs of the 7 entities is really stellar. Green Lantern has been solid for a very long time, and there's no signs of that changing. For better or worse, this is one of the best books on the shelf. Sorry guys, it really is. Up next, Thor 612 by Kieran Gillen and artwork by Doug Braithwaite. And again, I hope I pronounced that right. Gillen is really coming into his own with this book, which is visually absolutely one of the top books out there. Thor and Tyr have entered into Hela, the Norse goddess of the dead. They've entered into her domain to fight the Disir, who are these monstrous, cannibal-like former Valkyries who eat the souls of the dead. And they are laying siege to Hela in her tiny little corner of hell. In a ploy to try and buy time, the Disir have attempted to enlist the aid of none other than Mephisto. Again, with some very, very interesting results. Gillen is telling a truly epic story here, and it feels like something right out of Norse mythology. The only downside here is that it can be a little daunting to keep up with all the names and places and players, which has the downside of making this very non-new reader friendly. That said, it is also an insanely awesome read. Did I mention that the art is breathtaking? Like, I could just look at this book and be happy? All in all, a great read, but probably not for anyone who hasn't been reading this since the beginning. Lastly is Wonder Woman number 601 by J. Michael Straczynski and Doug Kramer. Straczynski got a little bit of controversy with this new storyline he introduced in Wonder Woman 600, along with the new costume, but he's definitely doing his damnedest to make it worth it. The story picks up immediately from the end of that issue. Oracle is showing Diana how her mother, Hippolyta, died and what it means in the long run for her character, while dropping hints that the current timeline that we're reading about is not the right one. Diana then has to choose between taking out the man who killed her mother and saving a group of Amazons who are in Turkey and about to get wiped out by the same group. Straczynski is no slouch when it comes to writing, and the story here is really solid, with a clear eye toward building a brand new Wonder Woman mythos. My only concern is how long he will be willing to play in his own sandbox with Wonder Woman before we see a repeat of how his Amazing Thor run ended. So there's that. Kramer, on the other hand, is just a rising star. He's someone you really need to be watching out for because he just gets better and better with each issue. Bottom line, laugh if you want to, but Wonder Woman has been a solid book for a long time, and the new creative team doesn't seem to be changing anything. So there you go. Best issue of the week, Thor number 612. Just absolutely great. The worst, Uncanny X-Men number 526. Come on, Matt. I know you can do better. Alright, check you guys back next week with 6 more reviews. Please, if you have any comments, let me know. And have a great night, guys.